Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
And new undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael the Count Bisping.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
Oh, yeah. Number 98, Believe You Me, Michael Bisping, out in L.A., Luis J. Gomez in New York.
Yes, recording at 6, well, we were aiming for 6 p.m., but it's probably around 6:15. I got to say, Lewis, I do like doing it at this time. I do, because right now in our house, well, Rebecca's cooked dinner. I've eaten my dinner. I've worked out twice. I'm in a good place. I've got nowhere else to be. You've got a smile on your face. We're starting the show off on the right foot. The microphone is working. We have a studio. Harrington is no doubt not going to fuck up this episode. It's a beautiful day.
It's actually, we haven't started off this good since, I think, ever. I don't think we've ever started off with this little problems. There's no fucking snippiness. Usually there's about 15 minutes of technical issues, and then me and Michael Bisping, before we start the show, there's some passive-aggressive comments, some fucking looks, some nasty fucking exchanges sometimes. Today is very positive, but I think it's a bad thing. I'm feeling it's going to be a bad show because of that.
No. Don't say that. Don't jinx it. It's going to be an amazing show. One thing I was going to mention beforehand, and I'm going to break that. I was going to say, let's not talk about whatever technical difficulties or audio issues we're having. But you're right. Generally, there is always audio issues or technical difficulties. And a lot of people say, oh, I think Mike was on his period on this episode, or Mike seemed a bit stressed. And it's like, well, yeah, sometimes at the start of the show, I am a little stressed because what people don't see is beforehand, obviously, there is, technical difficulties with doing it the way that we do it. Even though we still have great chemistry from the other side of the country, there's a lot. So often I have to reset my fucking computer 35 times.
Yeah.
Plug this in, undo that, and it just gets a little tiresome. And yes, for the first 10 minutes of the show, sometimes I do have what we would say in the north of England, a cob on. I do have a bit of a cob on at times.
A little bit of a cob on.
But a bit of a cob on. But today, as I say, it's a beautiful day. What have you been doing, Lewis?
I'm in a great mood. Even with Harrington, by the way, it's a little bit weird today because he's actually in the studio next to me. In fact, can you pan out and just show what I have to deal with right now? Because I'm not even hating, but this is what I have to do. He's sitting this close to me right now. It's unfucking comfortable, okay? He's sweaty. He's hot. His beard smells. People have been giving us shit, by the way. What were you going to say?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Please tread carefully with Harrington's feelings. He's a sensitive, delicate little flower. And it appears to coin a phrase from our good friend Colby Covington, the snowflakes on YouTube, the rallying behind Sir Harrington, because we're getting a little bit of abuse. So much so that I actually went to the comment section and said, hold on, the general theme of the show, we're just busting balls. Harrington, we appreciate you, Harrington. We appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
I'm being honest a good 50% of the time.
Hold on, no. If we give a fucking, if we pledge our appreciation to you, Harrington, we expect you to sound a little bit more grateful. Let's try that again, Harrington. Man, we fucking appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Mike. I genuinely do appreciate it. I'm just not used to being this close to Lewis without him having a clenched fist, so I don't know what to do right now.
Look, Harrington is you guys got to understand. People don't get it. Number one, this show, Harrington gets the least abuse out of every show that he works on. Harrington, I mean, he really gets it. And Harrington's a friend. It's not just that he works here. It's not like he's a fucking dude who comes in and he's trying to get... No, he's a friend. So if you have a friend who is constantly fucking up, the only thing you can do is give him shit. You jab him a little bit. Yeah, you don't look at me like you're not constantly fucking up. Yeah, you constantly fuck up. It's crazy. But... whatever. What are we going to do? We could, if there's a mistake made, I think it's funnier to give him shit about it and bust balls about it than actually get pissed off, actually have a real meeting about it. When the cameras go off, we don't really give a shit. Harrington's job isn't at risk.
No, for sure. So are we saying that Harrington is at the helm today? Because
no,
I thought it was going to be Shannon. Today. The beautiful Shannon was going to be back manning the ship, so to speak. But we have Harrington. Is that correct?
No, well, I've decided that Harrington will never be at the helm on the show again. He does not have the capabilities to be the captain of the ship. He can be a fucking great first mate, a purser, a guy who shovels coal into an engine somewhere. That's fine. He's just not going to be the captain.
How do you know so
So he's
many
not gonna be
nautical terms?
No, well, I was going to say, so he's not Captain Kirk. So he's more of a Spock because he kind of comes in with that logical tone, and gives us the facts. So Harrington is our Mr. Spock. Is that what we're saying?
That's fine. I'll give him a Mr. Spock. We do have Brian producing the show today. Brian's in the booth, and we appreciate everything you do, my friend. Thank you very much, Brian, for helping out with the show today. I had a great day, Michael Bisping. I don't know what you did, but I actually helped the world. I'm actually changing the world in a different way.
Pray tell.
Yeah, I was asked by a good friend of mine to come and speak for her class of 10th graders who were in a career studies class. And she had a bunch of different people through her life come out and have discussions about the things that they do. And I talked about being a comic and running Gas Digital and sort of creating businesses around my comedy career. And it was a pretty damn rewarding experience. I've never done anything like that before.
Hey, listen, I commend you, and that's amazing. So basically, you went in there and talked about yourself. You went in there and bigged yourself up to a bunch of high school kids, and you were like, listen, you little fuckers, I've got my own studios. I've got my own network, okay? What have you guys got? You've got fucking nothing, is basically what you did.
Sort of, but I was, it wasn't so much sucking my own dick, because it is a little bit of a weird thing, but it was inner city youths, all Hispanic and minorities, and my assumption was, or what she had told me was, they were sort of from, I don't want to say troubled homes, but lower income homes, which typically are troubled.
Sure.
And it was just kind of, it was a cool experience, kind of having that conversation, because I came from a very, very low income home. My mom was on welfare. My dad was murdered when I was a kid, and to sort of get to a place in my life where I'm doing things that are cool enough and incredible enough that a friend of mine would recognize that and want me to go and bestow a little bit of knowledge on these fucking kids. It was kind of a nice thing. I got a little bit emotional about it, kind of looking out at these kids, and it was almost like coming full circle in a weird way, because I was the kid who just would have been rolling his eyes in the back of the classroom, not really paying attention. I saw a few of those kids. I saw a few me's in the room, and I wasn't even offended. I was like, I would have been fucking that kid right there.
No, that's beautiful, Lewis. It really is. And it is nice to recognize your success without us disappearing up our own assholes, to recognize that and then trying to inspire some other people. As we said a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about universities and colleges, and you said colleges isn't for everyone. Of course it isn't, but so people in those circumstances, as you say, from a lower socio-demographic, you can inspire them. I'm the same way. I came from a very humble background as well. It's funny. I've never, and I would love to, and this isn't like a Khabib digging wells type scenario. I would love to go out there and spread the word and inspire people. And I haven't really had much of a chance to do that. Although recently I was at the gym and I was lifting weights, and a high school teacher from a city called Villa Park, which is real close to me, he came over and said, "Hey, Michael, blah, 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 blah," introduced himself. I'm the principal at Villa Park High. We would love it if you could come in and speak with the wrestling team sometime and give them inspiring words. I said, "Oh, of course, yeah. I would love to do something like that." And we exchanged numbers. And then I go home and I tell Callum, and Callum's like, "Fuck no. No, you're not, Dad. They're our rivals."
Whoa.
He strictly forbid me to go in there. So the guy's hitting me up, and I had to I'm like, "Callum, come on, they're just kids." He's like, "No, Dad, they're our number one rivals. You are not going in there and bigging up our rivals." So I look like a letdown to the principal of Villa Park High School. I apologize, but it's Callum Bisping's fault. There you go.
What you should have done? See, this is where Callum is. Callum's a good person, right? It sounds like he's being sort of like a little bit of, like, oh my God, yeah, you can't do it. But he's a good person, because what I would have done is I would have said, "Dad, here's what you do. You got to go there and give them
bad advice.
Bad advice. Just really just go in there and give them, whatever the opposite is of inspiration, shit on the school,
No. So go in and be like, "Listen, I know this is going to sound crazy, But the night before your weight cut, what you want to do is have the heaviest, stodgiest pizza. Trust me, I know it's crazy, but I've done this for a long time. The weight will fall off you. It's miraculous. And just think like that, right? Just totally fill them full of shit. See, that's telling young children lies, Lewis. And I don't like to do that.
Yeah, well, look, but you guys have a higher moral code than I would. I would have ruined their entire lives. I would have gotten inside of there. I would have. It wouldn't have been just one speech. I would have slow played it over the course of a year. I would have been in the wrestling room every Friday giving different speeches. It would have been a whole fucking thing. But Callum has more honor than I have, and he wants to beat them, fair and square.
Well, that's a beautiful thing that you did, Lewis. It really is, and fair play to you.
Why don't you speak it?
I will give you the opposite of what the shame bell is. Whatever that is, the cowbell of honor goes to Luis J. Gomez right now. But
should we get a cowbell?
Cowbell of honor. Dugga-ding, dugga-ding, whatever, however the fuck a cowbell sounds.
Not
Although
like that.
I went to Switzerland. Well, I guess I have more of an input on cowbells than you, because I went to Switzerland with the Scouts when I was younger. I was in the Cubs, but I got kicked out the Cubs. So I was in the Scouts a little young, and I went with the Scouts to Switzerland. And there was a lot of cowbells in Switzerland. Anyway, this morning I worked out. I've got a new workout device, Lewis. You've probably seen them around. The Peloton bike. Have you ever used one?
Oh, is that the bike where you let me, and maybe I'm wrong, but let me just guess. If my understanding of sort of what I've heard peripherally about this is it's almost like a class, but it's like a video experience where you're like, you're almost like riding through the fucking mountains, and it's very like high end and a really like pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is. And this isn't an advert, they're not paying us any money, anything like that. I'm trying to stay in shape and lose weight, all the rest of it. So I invested in one. They're not cheap, but I tried one out at a hotel recently. Last time I was in New York and we did the show. Not that time, the time before when we almost killed each other. That time, the hotel had a Peloton bike in, and I tried it, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So it's basically a spinning class in your front room. But it's got this huge monitor, probably about 25 inches. You actually feel like you're in a class. There's all different instructors, some hot chicks teaching classes. There's really good-looking guys as well, if that's your thing. Or you can go on like scenic rides through mountains, through the Swiss Alps, through Sydney, whatever. It's really, really good. And if you're looking to invest in a piece of home exercise equipment, everybody, I cannot recommend that highly enough. I did 1,000 calories last night, 700 calories this morning. It's pretty fucking awesome if I do
so you
say
bought
so
one.
myself. I bought one, yeah. Now you got to subscribe to the classes, so that gets a little expensive. It's all in for the bike and for a year subscription. It's about $2,000. So
That's
it's not
bad.
cheap.
It's not bad though.
Dude, it's great.
When you consider, all right, cycling class, if you go to Soul Cycle, $40 a class. If you buy packets, you save like $5 a class. Equinox, I pay $250 a month for my Equinox membership. That comes out to nearly $3,000 a year. I mean, it's the same exact shit. If you want a high-end experience that works, if you were to join an MMA gym, $250 a month for a good, reputable MMA gym, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's going to cost. So I think you'd have to try it out. The problem with something like that, I remember just being a kid and kind of seeing like Bowflex. I always wanted one. It's like, 24 payments of $89.99 and you could have a Bowflex gym in your house. And I would always see it. But I would never, that's such a big commitment without actually getting on it, knowing you're going to use it. I feel like you need a month or two to really commit yourself to know if you're going to be able to jump into the routine.
Dude, it's awesome. I can't recommend it highly enough. But you reminded me then of when we were kids. My dad, obviously I did martial arts, and my brother did a bit of martial arts. I shouldn't say did a bit of martial arts. My older brother, he was a British champion, Conrad. Big shout out, Conrad. By the way, I haven't seen Conrad in years. So Conrad, if you're listening, which I know you're not, much love and respect, brother. And I'll come and see you soon, hopefully. Only problem is with Conrad, he lives in deep South Wales. And now, I know you've never been to the UK, Lewis, but you've never been to fucking Wales. Wales, if you're from Wales, and no offense to any of the Welsh listening, they call you a sheep shagger because there's not a lot there other than sheep. There is a couple of cities, Cardiff and Swansea, but he lives in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, so when we were younger, my dad bought us a multi-gym. Do you know the multi-gyms?
Yeah, you're talking about like, it has like the bar and the pull-down thing and the bench. It has everything all in one. Yeah,
and they suck. They do. My dad bought one of them, for like £3.49 for the next 10 years. And I think he got used like twice. You know what I mean? But this Peloton bike, anyway, I highly recommend it. But we're not here to talk about multi-gyms, Peloton bikes, or fucking how much of a great guy Luis J. Gomez is these days. Fucking, speaking to kids. We're here to talk about some MMA at the weekend, some big fights in Beijing, China, Lewis. Before we break down those 2 big fights in Beijing, let's just take a quick word from one of our sponsors, which is Perform Asleep. Christmas is coming up. You don't want to get the same shitty gifts every time. Guess what? Surprise them. Think outside the box. Get them a new bed. Get them a new mattress, and they will thank you for this. They will not believe what you did for them. Sleeping is very important, okay? If you have a shitty night's sleep, it's terrible. Last night, I slept terrible. I really did. I felt like shit all day. Even though you wouldn't think it, Lewis, you're looking at me and you're thinking, wow, this guy's on the ball. He looks 21. Guess what? I had a shit night's sleep because I slept in my son's bed, and he does not have a Perform Asleep mattress. And I can't wait to get back into mine tonight. And you know why? You know why I love that thing so much? It's because of the Copper Cool technology.
I love it.
Cool. What is that? Yeah, me too. It's a combination of gel particles and microscopic copper particles infused throughout the foam to create cooler nights, give added support, and all the great benefits of copper, Lewis.
I'm one of the guys that, like, here's what happens. I get very hot throughout the night. Maybe it's my Latin blood. But when my girlfriend tries to snuggle with me, I kick her in the stomach. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Don't touch me in the night because you're going to make me sweat. And I don't want to be. I have to create a barrier of pillows. I have to turn my pillow over 7 or 8 times throughout the night because I get so hot. I start to get sweaty. The Copper Cool technology has changed the game. I can't sleep on another bed. The Performer Sleep bed has changed the way that I view sleeping. Okay, sleeping wasn't exciting for me before. We spent a third of our lives in bed, and I just was never looking forward to it. Now I don't look forward to waking up. I love it, okay? The gel beads infumed in the foam form together under the body, giving variable support in deeper compression areas such as the hips, the shoulder blades, and other areas. This prevents the sleeper from bottoming out and also helps keep their spinal alignment in perfect position to prevent any type of back pain.
Yes.
It
does.
It's the most comfortable. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. It's the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in.
Lewis, we all know you're not a scientist, okay? We know that. But guess what? You don't need to be a scientist either to enjoy the Copper Cool technology, because guess what? We have a tremendous offer for you. You buy this thing, you purchase one of these mattresses. If you don't like it, you can send it back. You can have it for 100 days. That is over 3 months, okay? You can have this bed for over 3 months. You can have sex in it. You can do all kinds of crazy shit in it and then go, you know what? Too many crimes have happened in this bed. Let's send it back.
Take it back. That might even be the thing that turns you on at night when you go to sleep. Like knowing that they have to take your bed back that you've had sex in like 100 times.
Maybe if you're very, very weird and need a psychiatrist, and I'm thinking of you there. But if you want to get involved, you want to buy a mattress, you want to get one for somebody, you want to get a unique gift, then go to performasleep.com. That's perform, PERFORM, performasleep.com, and use the promo code BELIEVE. We'll give you $150 off any size mattress. And as I say, 100 days, try it out. Don't like it, send it back. Cost you nothing. Performasleep.com, promo code BELIEVE. Okay, now, finally, UFC Beijing. Let's talk about these goddamn fights.
Yes. We didn't get to talk about it in the last show because really Tito and Chuck sort of took over. The discussion really took over the show. But that morning, Saturday morning, Beijing, very tough to get up that early and watch the fights, but I ended up watching them in the afternoon. Main event, co-main event. Yeah, we were wrong. We both picked Blades to win. There we go. That was it's just great timing. It's just like going limp dick on the microphone. We both picked Blades to win. Got knocked. How quick was the knockout? Like 45 seconds? 45-second knockout. So, but that's the thing with Francis Ngannou. I know people were like, "Oh yeah, well, he had a couple bad performances, slow performances." With a guy who, his bread and butter is knocking people out quickly. I mean, look, something like that is bound to happen. The reality was, I don't think that Francis Ngannou was as affected by the losses as we were sort of making it out.
Yeah, I mean, for one, the fights run at 3:30 in the morning. So unless you're like a weirdo, you're not getting up and watching them. I'm certainly not. Or maybe you got an international flight and your flight leaves at 6 a.m. and you're out of bed at 3:30. You might have watched them then. Or you're in Beijing, and then therefore you're on the same time zone. Francis Ngannou was definitely in a very, very tough position going into that fight because he lost against Stipe Miocic. Then he had that awful fight against Derrick Lewis where He was like a rabbit in the headlights, deer in the headlights, whatever you want to call it. And he didn't do anything. He didn't throw anything. And then he had a situation that isn't public knowledge that I'm not going to go into, but he had a situation with the UFC as well. So he wasn't in the best graces with the UFC. And on top of that, Dana had gone out and said that his ego was starting to get the better of him and things. And I think if he'd have lost that fight, then he was definitely potentially looking at being cut. So massive, massive pressure for him going into the fight. And of course, against somebody like Curtis Blades, who had a ton of hype, a ton of momentum. And on paper, I probably would have picked Curtis Blades to win. Looking at the way that Stipe Miocic beat Ngannou and looking at the way that Curtis Blades has been beating people recently, I probably would have gone with Curtis Blades. But full credit to Francis Ngannou. Back up against the wall, tons of pressure. Came out there, let the hands go, and reminded everybody of what a force he truly is. So congratulations to that guy. It sucks for Curtis Blades. I'm a fan of Curtis Blades as well. And not just him as a fighter, him as a person. From what I've never met the guy, but from what I see in the countdown shows and the embeddeds and things like that, the way that he carries himself, he seems like a really solid dude. So that's a shame, but Curtis will be back. He's still very young. And then I think it was co-main event, Overeem versus who was it? Some Russian dude. Was he Russian?
Yeah, it was a Russian. Undefeated, 12-0. What was his name again, Harrington? Sergey something or other.
Something. Yeah. Who cares? No disrespect. Overeem. Once again, Overeem. Overeem he's a quandary. Because he's so talented. He's been around so long. Of course, his kickboxing credentials are second to none, really. His experience in MMA is vast. He's been around for a long, long time. He was fighting top-tier competition in Pride back in the day. Of course, he's been in the UFC for a long time, had some big wins. And then he kind of went through a rough patch for a while. Then he comes out here against this guy, and he went back to basics. He went back to, rather than just being a striker, he went back to being a mixed martial artist, took the guy down and landed some absolutely vicious ground and pound. And, not much else to say apart from congratulations. Can you imagine, and no disrespect to any of the Chinese, but on average, they're a much, much smaller race, and Curtis Blades, Francis Ngannou, Alistair Overeem, these are giant people. They must have been sitting there in Beijing thinking, holy fuck, these guys are huge.
I think that's why, guys like, what was his fucking name? Bob Sapp. He was like a huge celebrity in like Asian martial arts because it's just, larger than life. There was an element of showiness. Like there's an appreciation for pro wrestling and like the show that's over there that's like embedded in their world. I think I'm sure it was quite the sight to be seen for them. Exciting night, dude. Heavyweight. Look, the reality is, and you said this about Curtis Blades, he'll be back. It's fine. All of these guys. The heavyweight division never in the history of mixed martial arts has really ever been deep enough to where you're really, all you have to do is have a few really big wins and you're right back there. Curtis Blades, Francis Ngannou had two bad performances and then he had that 44-second knockout over Curtis Blades and then everyone's going, oh shit, Francis Ngannou's back, because who else is there? Overeem, he's had so many title shots. He's just been the dude, and I think they're waiting for somebody to kind of, I think the UFC obviously set up Sergey Pavlovich to beat Alistair Overeem. Not that they necessarily want him to win, but a guy who's 12-0 from Russia. They see the success they're having with Khabib. That's a big prospect right there, and Overeem sort of played spoiler on that. But once again, it's heavyweight. Any given Sunday, anybody can knock out anybody, and 2 or 3 wins away, there's literally anybody in the top 10 UFC heavyweight that could be right there for a title shot.
Yeah, the heavyweight division has always been notoriously slim, even in boxing, MMA. I think because generally the bigger people get, the less control they have of their body. It's true. If you're a small, look at 125ers, Jesus Christ, they could probably fight MMA while spinning a fucking plate on the finger. You know what I mean? The bigger you get, the more clumsy you generally become, and your mind and body coordination tends to go down a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong there, but that's how it seems to be. So the skill level certainly dips. And I think the really talented athletes, certainly in America, or England even. They tend to go towards football, maybe rugby, whatever, because there's more money there, or there was back in the day. Well, certainly in America, there's more money in football now. So the big athletes go to there. And in MMA, in cage fighting, for want of a better term, it's still trying to break into the mainstream. So a big, strong, talented athlete, they're doing other things, or even WWE. Now it's getting to the point in MMA where there's real money to be earned. So hopefully the heavyweight division will be coming much stronger.
You would assume that somebody like, and I'm going to take the conversation about Daniel Cormier out of it because obviously he's a heavyweight champion, was at light heavyweight and moved back up. But somebody like Jon Jones, I think he could just come in and clean house at heavyweight. He's so athletic. If he just put on the muscle, it wasn't cutting weight. I mean, wouldn't he just come in and annihilate almost anybody? I think his wrestling is good enough that there's not going to be. I think he'd kill Brock Lesnar. I don't think Brock Lesnar's getting him down. Cormier at heavyweight, I think is probably the most interesting fight. I think Cormier has a better chance of beating Jon Jones at heavyweight. But I kind of look at Daniel Cormier going up and going, shit, dude, if I was Jon Jones, I would go out and become the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time and just, dominate. I mean, light heavyweight seems like such more of a competitive division.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because Jon Jones obviously is going to be fighting again soon. Hold on, he's fighting at the end of the year against Gustafsson, right? Yeah, sorry, pardon me. And he's been doing some media lately. I know we had our notes there, but there was nothing about Jones in it. And I just remembered he's been, doing the rounds, doing the media. He's been on ESPN, pardon me, on Ariel Helwani's show. And you're right. I mean, if you look at the heavyweight division, I mean, it's as clear as day. Daniel Cormier is the heavyweight champ, knocked out Stipe in the first round, beat Derek Lewis in the first round, and the only person to ever beat Daniel Cormier is Jon Jones. I'm not breaking news here, but logically, if I'm Jon Jones, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to come back. I'm going to take the light heavyweight belt. I'm going to take the heavyweight belt. I'm going to try and not fucking run over any more people, try and lay off the cocaine and get my shit together. And I could legitimately spend the rest of my life very, very comfortably, very, very rich, sleeping in silk sheets. But he's got to keep his shit together. Jon Jones's biggest enemy is himself. Yeah. And I've been there myself at times. You know what I mean? My biggest enemy sometimes is myself as well. Ariel Helwani asked him, he said, which was kind of a dumb question because Jon Jones has never been alcoholic. He's just been a party animal. It doesn't mean you're an alcoholic. But Ariel Helwani said to him, so are you totally sober now? And Jones said, no. He said, I still drink on occasion. He said, I smoke a little bit of pot here and there. And I thought, fair play, because he's always trying to be like Mr. God and this and that and puts on this false act. There's nothing wrong with having a few beers. There's nothing wrong with smoking a joint. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do. So I respected that he was honest about that.
I agree with you. And that is nice to hear. It is nice to hear a little bit of just honesty. And the reality is, if he's saying he's drinking a little bit and smoking a little weed, I believe that he's probably still doing blow. He's out there partying and fucking, whatever he said, let's take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just having a few beers and just a few beers and smoking a bit of weed, bit of crystal meth, bit of angel dust here and there. Doesn't make you a bad person, Ariel. Come on, dude.
But
Jon Jones should take Ariel Helwani on a night out. Ariel Helwani will have the best time of his life, and he'll say, fuck the UFC. Let's do this every weekend.
Are you kidding me? If you have cocaine, you're not inviting Ariel Helwani to that party with that fucking nose. The fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. Get your own coke, Ariel Helwani.
Oh, my God. Hey, do not offend or insult Ariel Helwani. Please. The legendary Ariel Helwani. No, he's the man. He's the man.
Yeah. But look, at heavyweight, I think it's been, literally it's been since Mike Tyson dominated. It's been since that time since we've seen heavyweight prize fighters as like the baddest men on the planet, right? It was sort of like after Mike Tyson's downfall. If Jon Jones did that, I think he can go and sort of, there's more value for Jon Jones in going and beating these gigantic dudes that the reality is he has massive physical advantages over. Even though they're going to look bigger, it's more valuable than going and fighting close fights against Gustafsson again, having rematches with a division that he's essentially cleared out already. If I'm Jones's manager, I'm going, dude, it's easier fights, more money. You're going to, cement your legacy as being the baddest fucking man on the planet. And you can sort of create a name for heavyweight mixed martial arts, which we've really never had, that, thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I totally agree because, you could say that this is the second career for Jon Jones, if you will. He had his first career at light heavyweight, totally dominated. He's undefeated. He beat Daniel Cormier twice. Okay, there's those asterisks with the performance-enhancing drugs that he still claims were accidentally in his system. Whatever, that's a conversation for another day. But the reality is that he did beat Daniel Cormier twice, and the only loss on his record was that bullshit disqualification against Matt Hamill for the downward elbows. So yeah, if I'm him, to be honest, I would come back. Certainly being the size that he is, and now that he's getting a little bit older, making 205 probably is a pain in the ass for him. And you're right, everything you just said, he would clean up at heavyweight. So if I was him, I'd come back and focus on heavyweight. That said, he does want to fight DC just to take the belt off him. Now, I'm not saying that would happen, but, it's so interesting how intense their rivalry is. But talking about heavyweights, talking about being the baddest man on the planet, that actually is a great segue into another big fight which is happening this weekend, which, we don't cover that much boxing on this show. But, of course, Deontay Wilder taking on Tyson Fury at the Staples Center in Los Angeles this weekend. Massive, massive heavyweight title fight. And Tyson Fury, I know you're not too familiar with him, Lewis, but he's a guy that realistically, you've got to give him credit. You've absolutely got to give him credit. I didn't like the guy, but he won me over. He used to talk a bit of shit about me. He went around saying that one of his gypsy friends knocked me out outside a nightclub in Blackburn, which was really funny because apparently at the time when his gypsy friend knocked me out is when I lived in America. So, anyway, there you go. That dispels that myth. But that aside, as I say, over the years, he really won me over. Because he had struggles with mental health, he had struggles with cocaine and alcohol and things like that, and he overcame all that. He got really big, he got absolutely massive, got really fat, and now if you look at him, he's in pretty good shape for such a big man. And he's actually very, very technical, and he's taking on Deontay Wilder, which for me, I applaud the guy because Anthony Joshua, another, probably the highest ranked. I know they're all champions, but Anthony Joshua is, probably pound for pound the best heavyweight right now. But he's kind of been avoiding Deontay Wilder, and Fury just, is taking him on after one fight back. So that's an interesting fight this weekend. Do you have any opinion on any of that, Lewis? Because I know your boxing knowledge isn't,
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much of an opinion. I'm looking here. I guess Tyson Fury is donating a 7-figure check to charity, which is pretty nice.
Oh, wow.
And
that's amazing.
I'm looking at these before and afters when he got pretty fat. That's nice.
Oh, yeah, dude. Get them on the screen. Let's have a look.
Yeah, pull up the before and after. If you just type in Tyson Fury before and after, it's there. I don't really have much of a... With boxing, it is very difficult to watch boxing. It really is. No matter how exciting it is, no matter how much people tell me I'm going to love it, you know what it seems like? It seems like back in the day when I would watch amateur boxing with headgear on, I'm like, it just doesn't really do it for me. It seems like there's this limitation there that I can't get over mentally. I can't just get over that hump. So when...
Whoa.
Wow. He looks like Harrington.
See what I mean? Look at that. So for everybody in life, and we'll go back to what you were saying a second ago, Lewis. I mean, that is inspirational for everybody that feels they can't do it. They can't, they can't. I don't know. They can't get out of that rut that they're stuck in. Here's a guy who had mental health issues. He had cocaine and alcohol addiction problems. Put on a ton of weight, as you've seen, and I think that was relatively quick. So he got himself back in shape.
12 months, yeah.
So fair play. God bless that guy. If I'm honest, as I say, I wasn't the biggest fan, but he did win me over with his resilience and his work ethic. You can't deny it. I think what you're saying, though, about boxing there, Lewis, is, and you're right, you're more of an MMA guy and you were into WWE, professional wrestling. If you watch bad boxing isn't very good. It's just like when boxers watch bad MMA. Bad MMA isn't very good. But if you watch a good boxing match, a good boxing match is enthralling. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at Triple G versus Canelo. Both of those fights were incredible. Even the Mayweather-McGregor fight, that was a lot of fun as well. Good boxing fights are very, very entertaining, just as bad boxing fights are a lot of shit. But the same thing goes over to MMA. If a boxing guy who doesn't know much about MMA tunes in, and two guys are just laying prey. One guy takes the other one down and lies on top of him for 15 minutes. Even as an MMA aficionado, that isn't the most exciting, enthralling thing, But if it's, there's some technical display, there's some nice sweets, there's good stand-up action, then it's a different kettle of fish.
Well,
so you're right, Lewis, in what you say.
It's more. It's even less than the quality. It's more about the limitation of it just being punching, right? So when Conor McGregor and Mayweather were boxing, there'd be times where they would clinch. Me and my buddy Dave Smith were talking about this yesterday. They'd clinch, and as an MMA fan, I can't get past just this thought, like, oh, just so you guys know, if this was a real fight, Conor would have taken him down there and stomped him to fucking death. Just so everyone knows right now, we're not watching a real fight. We're just watching two guys do this silly act where they're taking their fists and they're trying to punch each other in the face. I can't get past that thought. It's just so limited. It's almost like if I was watching basketball and they were only allowed to throw free throws the whole game. You're like, fine, I get it. There's a ball and there's a basket, but that limitation takes out so many different elements that it becomes. And I know I don't understand it. I know there's so much more going on there. People are gonna fucking flame me for this. Like, you don't understand boxing. You're right. I don't see it, but when I watch it, I'm bored and I go, I want to see them kick. I want to see them take each other down. I want to see them choke each other out and tear each other's limbs off their bodies. I want to see MMA.
For sure, I understand what you're saying, and your point is valid because you're right. In those circumstances where they clinched, Conor could have just, tripped him up, took him down, double-legged, whatever, took him down, ground and pound, submitted him. You're absolutely right. But they are the rules that they're competing in. Just like if you're playing football, American football, should I say, or even soccer, whatever. You can't just pick up the ball and punch people in the face and run down. There's rules that you accept that you're performing in, and therefore you stick to them, and that's the skill set that they've agreed to. But you are right in what you say. But still, a good boxing match is a good boxing match, Lewis.
Are you going to go?
Shit on boxing. Am I going to go? Well, it's funny. Mickey Rourke invited me to it, and I would love to, and we'll get onto this in a minute. We've got the tough finale on Friday, and then we've got UFC Adelaide on Saturday. So Thursday, I've got the weigh-in show for the tough finale. On the Friday, I've got the weigh-in show for UFC Adelaide, then the pre- and post-fight show for the tough finale, and then Saturday, I've got the pre- and post-fight show for UFC Adelaide. So I've got a busy few days coming up. And I did tell Mickey Rourke I'd go with him, but obviously I forgot about that. So I won't be there. Otherwise, I would have been for sure.
Yeah.
Which leads me nicely. I mean, that is a flawless segue, Lewis, into Kamaru Usman taking on Rafael dos Anjos. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
If Carlsberg did segues, and I know you don't get that reference. You don't get that reference, do you?
No, I don't. What is it? What does it mean?
Well, just Google it. If Carlsberg did birthday parties, or if Carlsberg did Christmas.
All right. The If Carlsberg Did campaign was brought back in February after a 4-year hiatus. Let me see. What is this? All right, so it's a Carlsberg campaign. It's a TV
beer
spot.
So Carlsberg is a beer, and they used to have these commercials on TV for years and years and years. So it's an English expression. If Carlsberg did this, it'd be the best version. So if Carlsberg did segues, Lewis, that's how they'd fucking do them, my brother.
I like it. And we know the name of today's show.
If Carlsberg did segues. No, I think Cowbell of Honor.
Cowbell of Honor is pretty good as well. Cowbell of Honor. I'm going to write them all down. Mike, real quick, let's just take a second and talk about nanoglutathione, which is such an amazing product. It's a revolutionary supplement. I know you've been using it. Everyone at the office has been taking it. We have a gym right around the corner, so people have been using it as a pre-workout supplement. But glutathione is your body's master antioxidant, and it's often called the miracle molecule. Just go to Google right now and do a little bit of research and find out exactly what glutathione is. But basically, it helps remove toxins from your body, and glutathione deficiency is linked to a bunch bunch of various diseases. So you really should be getting your glutathione into your body, and nanoglutathione is a great product.
Yeah, you're right, Lewis. I have been using it a lot. I keep it in my fridge, and it's super easy to take. You just, you squirt a little bit under your tongue. Tastes great. Has a very nice lemony flavor, and you feel great. I mean, the health benefits are fantastic. It is a massive antioxidant. I mean, you can just tell, Lewis, you're looking at me right now, and I'm radiant. My skin has never looked so good. My liver has never felt so good. I'm going to the gym. I'm working out. I'm sweating like a maniac. I feel like I'm 21 years old, Lewis. It's true. It's true. I know you're looking at me, and you're thinking, you look like you're 21 years old. And I get that a lot. But I get it a lot more ever since I've been taking nanoglutathione.
Well, you told me
easy to use.
Well, you told me you've been going to the gym more lately. Do you think that it actually has any benefits when you're going to the gym?
No, I'm serious. I've been taking it before, every time I go before the gym, and I just feel switched on. I work out hard. I feel very focused. And as I say, I'm waking up every day. I'm hopping out of bed. I feel great. And I've never felt healthier. I really do believe that this is a fantastic product. So check it out, guys. We stand by these products, and nanoglutathione, I am reaping the benefits of this product.
So listen, anybody can benefit from supplementing with nanoglutathione, whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior. So for right now, for a limited time, you can get 30% off and free shipping on your first order. Free shipping. Are you kidding me? Just go to boostgsh.com. That is BOOSTGSH.com and enter Believe30 at checkout. BELIEVE 30 at checkout. You're going to get 30% off of your order and free shipping. Try out nanoglutathione. I promise you right now it's going to change your life. Once again, that is boostgsh.com and enter promo code BELIEVE30 for 30% off and free shipping. All right, where were we? So yeah, we got some fights this weekend.
Well, hold on. I said before we get into that, because we just talked about UFC Beijing. I was supposed to be there, by the way. Long story. I wasn't. A little bit annoyed. And then we spoke about Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. So let's not break it down. Let's have a break from breaking down fights.
Okay.
And talk about something else.
Okay.
Not a fight.
Well, all right. Why don't we talk about this? Dana White.
Sage Northcutt. Okay, Dana White, go.
Let's talk about Sage. Well, we'll do Harrington's hammer fisting, fucking rumor mill. I'm a chick in a guy's body segment. There you go. So Harrington,
I heard that. Wow. All right, hammer fisting with Harrington, a guy in a chick in a guy's body segment. Let's go. What have you got, please? The floor is yours, Harrington. Your big moment. Hammer fisting with Harrington. Go.
Sage Northcutt has been cut by the UFC.
Is that official?
Yeah, Dana White came out and said it on the UFC Unfiltered podcast this week. He said that Sage Northcutt.
No. Huh? I will undermine you in a moment, but continue with your rhetoric.
Well, if I'm wrong, Mike, why are you making me look like a fool then?
No, it's okay, because you're partially right. You're partially right. You're partially wrong. But go ahead, please.
What did he get wrong so far?
Mill. Well. He's not necessarily incorrect, but Sage Northcutt fought out his contract. Okay, so he wasn't cut. They did make him an offer for. So generally in the UFC, here's what happens. They want to keep fighters under contract. That's it. Yeah, get Harrington on. What's up? There he is, good looking. Hey, what's up, buddy? So generally, the UFC, they do countdown shows. They'll put you on posters. They'll spend a lot of money building a fighter. So generally, when it comes to the end of their contract, they don't want them to fight that last fight, because then they can go to the open market, and potentially leave. And the UFC spent all that money building their fighter, building this person, and for them to go somewhere else. So it makes sense from their perspective. Sage Northcutt, I think, and I may be mistaken, but I think they made him an offer, just like they do a lot of fighters, and he chose to go to open market. He chose to fight out his contract. So he fought out his contract, and they've said, you know what? If you want to do that, go ahead. So I don't think I wouldn't say that's necessarily cutting him. They allowed him to fully execute his contract.
Well, look, here's the way I understand when saying...
Maybe I'm being a little pedantic for a throwback word.
Yeah, look, here's the reality. The UFC would keep Sage Northcutt if they wanted to keep Sage Northcutt. They would make him an offer he can't refuse. So when you say I understand sort of the sentiment that he's being cut, because if the UFC really wanted to keep him, they would. But Sage Northcutt, Dana White did give a quote specifically on this, and I want to pull that up. Pull up Dana White's quote on it, because he talked about how he needs to kind of get more
Read
fights.
the quote.
Yeah, but
Read the quote.
For him, there's real value in being a star already who has a Reebok deal, who probably can't beat the best fighters in the world in the UFC, going out and building his value, building more money, getting more wins. This is probably a great move for Sage Northcutt, because for all those reasons I just said. So read the quote from Dana White.
Sage is young and needs some work. Let him go get some work in another organization, and in a couple years, maybe we can pick him back again.
Okay. And Dana's right. He is young and he does need some work. But I think he went 1-2, won 1, lost 2. I'm not sure. But then he went to Team Alpha Male training with Uriah Faber, and he's 3-0 since then. So he's doing well and he's improving all the time. And he actually is a very, very talented prospect. I think, and this is pure speculation, that there's something else going on here.
Circle of trust.
Well, it's not a circle of trust. I'm not breaking any circles of trust. It's me purely speculating. And here's what I would do. Lately, a lot of fighters have been fighting out the contract. Eddie Alvarez. He's the one that springs to mind recently. He went off to ONE FC. But a lot of people have been doing this. They've been trying to fight out the contract so, they can get a better offer. And then they can go and say, well, Bellator are willing to offer me this, or XYZ are willing to offer me that. I think here, and this is what I would do as well, Sage Northcutt, he kind of is expendable. The UFC will continue without him. But he wants to fight out his contract. All right, buddy. There you go. Ta-ra. Fight out your fucking contract. Go and enjoy. Have the free market. Take it. We don't want you. We made you an offer. You turned it down. So there you go. See you, buddy. Go fight elsewhere. And maybe in a few years, if you do well and you perform, we'll take you back. And what that's doing is subconsciously and indirectly sending out a message to people: don't fight out your contracts, because we might just fucking let you go.
Even if you're considered a hot young prospect who's on a 3-fight win streak, who has abs for days, who has a Reebok contract, who is a star in the making, we'll still say go fuck yourself. It's interesting. You're right. I agree. Sage isn't the guy that's going to make or break the UFC. I always found it weird.
But it does send that message. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Okay. It does send that message because, it's a smart business practice for the UFC's point of view. Of course, it's a business at the end of the day, and you don't want everybody rebelling, going to open market and trying to ram up your bottom line at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Trying to drive a harder bargain, which means your profit margins go down. Go on.
Do not try to ram up my bottom line. That's.
I knew you were going to say that. As I said, ram up my bottom line. I thought, that came out a little bit weird.
Yeah. Here's what I like right now. It seems like the Conor McGregor...
Being rammed up your bottom line?
I love being rammed up my bottom line, but that is neither here nor there. It seems like the Conor McGregor dust has sort of settled, right? Because Conor McGregor, I'm not saying he's going to come back, he's going to have another big fight, whatever, yada, yada, whatever. But the whole Conor McGregor era of him being like the fucking dude, the unbeatable dude, I think everyone's kind of going like, all right, that's past. He probably has a few more big fights left in him, millions of dollars to be made sure he's still a big star. But the UFC jumped the shark for a few years there. They were just sort of letting Conor run the show. He was sort of breaking the rules where nobody was doing that. Nobody ever did that before. I never saw the UFC bend the knee the way they did to Conor McGregor. And I feel like the smoke's cleared. They went, wait a minute, hold on. That experiment wasn't even necessarily the greatest thing ever. I don't think Conor McGregor, I don't think that Conor McGregor, his star, did so much for the sport and bringing casual fans over that it really mattered. Whether he came or not, it's not like now every UFC pay-per-view has 1 million buys. There are still low pay-per-view buys. There are still shows that aren't, I do think the UFC needs to kind of get back in order of they are the fucking show. They are probably the most important variable in the factor, or I'm sorry, in the equation. And they need to sort of get back to kind of creating that, just being the fucking best. It was never about freak show fights. It was never about making as much money off this one trade as possible. It was about creating the absolute best brand of mixed martial arts. And I feel like there was this weird lull for the past couple of years where I was like, what is going on?
Well, you're right. You're definitely right because Conor, he was a massive star. He still is a massive star, should I say? And to go back to what you were saying a second ago, yeah, you're right. They started bending the rules a little bit. Him turning up late for press conferences and all the rest of it. It became the norm after a while because he's such a big star and Conor does whatever the fuck he wants, and it became expected almost. But you're right. They can't seem to be tolerating that kind of behavior for everybody. But just going something else you mentioned there, Conor. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunate, unfortunate, whichever way you look at it, he made the UFC a lot of money, and it came at a pivotal time when the brand went up for sale. You got to remember that. It doesn't matter whether or not he's doing this every weekend. In the year that WME or IMG started looking at the books, they were they were doing these massive blockbuster events with Conor and Ronda, and they were doing multiple over 1 million buy events, several times a year. That drives up the bottom line, again, to use that expression, and that definitely helped with the sale tax. So, and Conor recognized that and his team recognized that. So, it all got a bit carried away with itself, but still, fair play to him and, fair play to the UFC. They made a lot of money. God bless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, the Sage Northcutt thing, now I guess he is going to go play the free market. People had mentioned this I don't know if this is just a tweet that I read or even could possibly be a rumor, but the idea of him fighting for Golden Boy, and I know there was that YouTube guy who said he had interest in fighting Sage, right? Who was that?
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, why not, dude? You're Sage Northcutt. Go make millions of dollars beating up a YouTube guy. I mean, look, there's
Hold on. Sage Northcutt, should I say, isn't going to make millions of dollars beating up a YouTube guy. He might make a lot of money, though. Millions of dollars?
Millions.
I'll tell you what, if fucking Sage Northcutt makes fucking millions of dollars beating a fucking YouTuber, I'm going to fucking shit the bed.
Doggy, you could, Michael Bisping, if you wanted to come back and just beat up YouTubers, I'm sure we could work out some sort of pay-per-view structure where we crush it.
I'm pretty sure I'm out of contract anyway, so I'll tell you right now. Logan Paul, KSI, I'll take you both on at the same time with one hand tied behind my back, blindfolded, okay? And I'll still fuck up the pair of you. I can sell that shit on pay-per-view, okay?
And you trained with KSI.
Every day.
You know what KSI is capable of.
I'll train them for the fight. I'll train them for the fight. I'll fight them both at the same time, tie one hand behind my back, and cover up my good eye. Okay? And I will still fuck up the pair of them all day, every day. Do it on an Indian reservation somewhere. Do it in Saudi Arabia. Do it where there's no fucking athletic commission. There's your fucking story, Ariel Hawani.
Can they take steroids?
Fucking juice yourself to death. Stick so many needles up your ass you look like a pincushion. I don't give a fuck. Logan Paul, kiss my ass.
He would make millions, I'll tell you why, because it's Logan Paul. Not Sage Northcutt. It's the funny part. It wouldn't even matter that it's Sage Northcutt. It's Logan Paul, and I'm assuming him versus KSI, that fight probably made them millions. When you consider the pay-per-view buys, millions, Michael Bisping.
I don't know about millions.
Look up the numbers.
Listen,
look up the numbers.
A lot of money. I don't know about millions of dollars. Millions of dollars is a lot of money, Lewis.
Look up how much
tough
money
to generate.
I'll bet you right now they made over $1 million each off their fight. How much you want to bet? Let's bet right now.
Hold on. Now you're saying million or millions. There's a big fucking difference. Singular, plural. Okay? I know you didn't go to fucking school that much.
Whoa, I went to school today.
800,000
yes, you did. Congrats.
people.
800,000 people purchased it.
$10.
Paid 10,000. 800,000 times 10 is what?
Hold it, Brian.
1 million people bought it at $10 a pop. It's 10 million.
10 million they made. They made 10 million. That's
was the gate.
Millions.
Or the buys anyway.
Just a sidetrack from me being proved wrong. Can we just talk about Brian's voice for a second? Because fucking you do sound like the voice of God. Hold it. $10 million.
Thanks,
Oh, look at that fucking you sexy voice bastard. Jesus
I'm the voice
Christ.
of Gas Digital, man.
Yeah, Brian's got a good voice.
All right, okay, all right. Well, listen, I stand by it. Sage Northcutt, KSI, and fucking Logan Paul. All three of them. Not at the same time. That would just be foolish. One after the other.
How much? I mean, because look, I think you'd kill Sage Northcutt.
On YouTube.
Do
Let's
it.
do it. I'm serious. Dazen, give me a call. Golden Boy, let's do this. Bellator, go fuck yourself.
I mean, there's a number, right, Mike? There's a number that came right now. Three-way death match. KSI.
That's it. That's the key word. You say fucking millions, I'm like, sign me up, buddy. I'm out of retirement. Let's go, Logan Paul.
You can make millions of dollars. If you've won a three-way death match with KSI and Logan Paul, you would make millions of dollars. There's no doubt about it.
All right, well, I will fight them. I
think he's serious, by the way. I really think he's coming back.
I'm serious. I want millions of dollars for an easy payday. Give me Sage. Feed me. Feed me Sage Northcutt, KSI, Logan Paul. Throw Uriah Faber in there for a laugh as well. Make it a real fucking tag team spectacle. Oh, dear. All right, guys, let's just take a second to hear from a longtime sponsor of ours, the very much appreciated BetDSI.com. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know BetDSI.com. I've been backing us for a long time. It's because of people like this that this show is able to continue. You know the deal. BetDSI.com makes betting easy, fun, a history of fast payments. Lewis, you love this site, correct?
I love BetDSI. I hate technology just in general. I'm not super tech savvy. I don't like going on a website where I don't understand what's going on. The interface on BetDSI is super easy to use, okay? You go in, you can bet on any sport you can imagine. Obviously mixed martial arts, okay? Obviously every fight that's under the sun is on there. They have other fun stuff as well. Political events, TV shows. They have all these cool fun prop bets. So even if you're not even a fan of sports and you just like stupid fucking sitting on the edge of your seat and having a little bit of thrill in your life, boom, BetDSI has you covered because they have so many different amazing things you guys can actually gamble on. Right now, we have the Ultimate Fighter 28 finale coming up this weekend. Also, Dos Santos versus
Tai Tuivasa versus Dos Santos is the main event at UFC Adelaide. Now, if you go to betdsi.com, you can bet on that, or you can bet on Kamaru Usman versus Rafael Dos Anjos. That's a tough fight for Rafael Dos Anjos, and hopefully we do another show and break that down. I'd put my money on Rafael Dos Anjos. Of course, he's a teammate of mine, and I'm rooting for him, so subconsciously that always gets into your mind. But any sporting event, any political event, whatever you do, if you have money on the outcome of it, it is way more fun. So if you're watching a football match, you're watching a fight, whatever it is, throw some money on it. It's more entertaining.
Oh, by the way, so you know RDA is also a plus 235 underdog. So if you take Michael Bisping's advice, you throw some cash down, you win some big money, and we also give you a bonus. Here's the deal. If you go to betdsi.com and use the promo code BYM120, first of all, that lets them know that we sent you there. You got to use that promo code BYM120. Big deal.
Yes.
If you decide, you can opt in for a 60% bonus, meaning that if you put anything up to $1,000 down, they're going to match your play at 60%. Put $100 down, you get to play with $160, right? So basically, just so you guys know, if you do opt in for the bonus, there is a rollover period. You have to spend a certain amount of money with that bonus cash in order to cash out. If you don't opt in for the bonus cash, you can cash out right away. So just know the difference before you actually put your money down. But either way, use the promo code BYM120. BetDSI.com is the website. Go have some fun this weekend. And also, if you win some cash, tweet us. Let us know. We love, every time somebody wins money, I love hearing that you won money through BetDSI. All right, let's get back into it. We're talking about stupid celebrity shit real quick. Can we mention this just for a second? Because I got into an argument on Legion of Skanks last night with Big J Okerson about this topic, because he went and saw the new Creed movie with Michael B. Jordan. Apparently it was very good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm a big Rocky fan, obviously.
I was going to say, tread carefully. Rocky movies mean a lot to me. They're insanely good. They portray the fighter's life perfectly. The emotions are perfect. Sylvester Stallone, I applaud you. Continue, Lewis.
Love the Rocky movies. Would never disrespect them. I'm upset that you would even suggest that I would disrespect the Rocky movies.
I apologize.
We'll move on. Shame on you, Michael Bisping. That's all right. But apparently Michael B. Jordan.
It's a low point for me.
It was pretty low. I thought we were friends, but it's all right. Apparently Michael B. Jordan, I don't know if he specifically called out, find out exactly what it was, but he said that he thinks he could beat Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match. So I wanted to get your opinion on this because I hear this and I'm like, and I don't know. I don't know how good of a boxer Michael B. Jordan is, and I don't know how bad Roy Jones Jr. has gotten since his fall from being one of the best boxers in the world. But I hear that initially and I go, no fucking way. I don't care how good of a boxer you've gotten from being an actor. You're a fucking actor. And I don't think that we're that far removed from Roy Jones being, elite world champion level to where an actor could come in and just beat him at what he does. So, Michael Bisping, take it away. What do you think?
Okay. I think that Michael B. Jordan, whilst going out there and doing his synchronized sparring sessions, and he feels pretty good about himself and he watches it back. When he watched the premiere, he's like, whoa, fuck, I look good, man. Look at that. I could actually do this fucking real. You know what I mean? No, it's very different when somebody's trying to hit you and they're moving around and they're not fucking doing a choreographed fight scene, okay? So Michael B. Jordan, never met you. I'm sure you're a lovely guy. But whoever's around you telling you to call out Roy Jones Jr., you need to slap. You want to start slapping someone? Slap whoever told you to call out Roy Jones Jr. 2 years ago, I grappled Chael Sonnen on an event called Your Show, yourshow.tv, if you recall. The main event of that event, or that spectacle, shall we say, was Roy Jones Jr. boxing a fan. Now they did a competition, and everyone had to send in a video as to why they deserved to be the one picked. And the person that they picked was actually a boxer himself. He'd had multiple MMA fights and a few boxing fights, so he knew what he was doing. Okay? Needless to say, he got knocked the fuck out viciously in round 2. Okay, it wasn't pretty. And Michael B. Jordan, the same thing would happen. And I say that with the greatest of respect. He's a very talented actor. Love the first Creed. I'm yet to see the second. I'm sure it's fantastic. All the reports say it's amazing. But, to use an expression, stay in your lane. That might sound rich coming from me because they may say, Michael, you stay in your lane. You're trying to be an actor. Yeah, I am. But I'm doing all the right things. I'm going to acting class. I'm going to auditions. I'm working with an acting coach. Is he going to the local amateur boxing club 3 nights a fucking week and learning how to box? No, because that's what you need to do. As I say, it's very different. Even just hitting the pads is different from an actual boxing fight, let alone like doing a choreographed fight scene to then doing a real fight scene where the guy isn't moving to where you want him to move. He's moving because of his own free will.
And it's also different when you are a millionaire, high-level A-list actor who's in Marvel movies, new Rocky movie, and even when you're sparring with the people that you're with, they're not trying to knock your fucking head off. They're trying to get another fucking paycheck. They're trying to eat off you. They're in your entourage, whatever it is. They're trying to make you feel like the fucking champ.
What's his name? Logan Paul, KSI, Sage Northcutt, and Michael B. Jordan. All in one night, one after the other. Pay-per-view. Fucking let's go. Millions of dollars. And I'm serious. Any actor that does an action movie, they think they can fight. They really do. And it does kind of get on my tits a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's like, here's the thing, and you do act now. This would be the equivalent of you saying, like, well, you know what, dude, I think at this point, I'm probably...
No, listen, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's the equivalent of me saying, I'll do a better job in a movie than an Oscar-winning actor or actress. Because you're talking about Roy Jones Jr. there. You're talking about one of the greatest ever boxers to ever put on a pair of goddamn gloves, right? That's like saying, I'm going to outact, I don't know, Marlon Brando. Or a screen legend. You know what I mean? And it would be looked at with a little bit of sarcasm. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be taken seriously. You know what I mean? This is
some of Michael B. Jordan's sparring footage from his Instagram or something like that. Let's see. Pull it up on the screen. I want to see it because maybe there's something that we don't know. You got it? Yeah, we're pulling it up right here. We go. So this isn't even sparring. This is pad work.
Well, pad work's great because it's synchronized and it makes you look good and it all goes crack and loud and bang. But let's have a look. Yeah, terrible. So good.
Terrible.
Michael B. Jordan, by the way, if there's a part in your next movie and you want me, I'm only joking. But if not, I'm serious.
Did that not look good?
Nah, it looked okay. I'm joking. It's hard to say, Hitting pads is great, That's why sometimes, and I do have this issue with trainers, to a certain degree. You'll see, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with this, but you'll see a trainer, and these days Instagram is a fantastic tool for publicizing yourself and what you do. And you'll see a trainer with a woman, a housewife, or whatever, maybe an out-of-shape guy, it doesn't matter what it is, and they're hitting pads, and it looks good, and it looks great, But that doesn't make them a trainer. It doesn't make them a coach. It makes them a pad man. Anyone could learn to hit pads. Lewis, you could hold pads, or Kim, or Harrington for that matter. Anybody, even Harrington, could learn to hold pads. 1, 2, left hook, uppercut. You know what I mean? And it's really simple. Just because you learn those little sequences doesn't mean you're a fucking great boxing coach. It means you have mind and body coordinate, jab, left hook, uppercut, leg kick. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean you're a fucking coach. It just means you've watched some YouTube training videos.
It's like, I mean, I'd have to watch him actually sparring. Dude, I used to hit pads all the time through the years with a buddy of mine, or in the gym, some personal trainer. You do a personal training session. Yeah, you hit pads. You feel like a fucking warrior. You look cool. But when I trained for that fight, and I had a guy trying to punch me in the face, and I'm trying to punch him, it is a way different game. It is not the same thing. It is as different from like playing basketball and checkers, right? Hitting pads or actually sparring, and somebody trying to hit you, or you're trying to punch him in the fucking face. It is a different world. It is not even the same activity. I think you just see punching and you go like, oh, they're doing the same thing. That's boxing. It's not at all. So I'd have to see that. But I look, maybe was he serious in the call out, Harrington? Did you listen to it? Do you actually have it? Do you want to hear it, or do you want to move on from this?
No. I would love to hear it. Yeah, I would love to hear it. I get more fun talking about stuff like this than breaking down fucking Kamaru Usman. No disrespect.
No. So this is on TMZ. This is Michael B. Jordan's call out of Roy Jones Jr. Good.
What's going on, my man?
Chilling, bro. What's going on?
So I heard that you, after all your training for the Creed movies, you can hold your own in a fight.
I mean, I can do my thing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I've been working out with Rocky, been working out with, like, you know what I'm saying, like Apollo Creed. I've been doing my thing.
Absolutely. So now, who all time would you want to step into the ring with? Whether it's a boxer, wrestler, UFC fighter, anybody?
Like Roy Jones, bro.
Roy Jones?
Roy Jones, that's my dude, bro.
You think you can hold your own?
I feel like I can do my thing a little bit.
Yeah?
I can hold my thing right now, but in his prime, nah, he'll probably knock my ass out. But like right now, I can do my thing.
Seem pretty serious.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. Hold on. Here's the thing. I get, I sound like an asshole. I get stopped now and again by the TMZ guys. And, they always ask these kind of inflammatory things because they want to get a story. They want to get a headline. And generally what you do is you play along with them and you be humorous with them and this and that. So I think, it was kind of serious that maybe now, Roy Jones, now we could have he could do my thing. I could do my thing against him, but I don't think he's serious. He's kind of playing along. He's giving them a soundbite. He's getting himself a little bit of press. I think if Roy Jones fucking came out and said, all right, motherfucker, you want to go? I think he'd maybe perhaps change his mind, change his stance.
Well, we do have Roy Jones' response, by the way.
Oh, well, please play it. I would love to hear.
Yes, we do. Here we go. This is Roy Jones Jr. responding to Michael B. Jordan. Very interesting.
Ooh. Of course, I saw the video. First thing is, I never ducked a fight in my life. I don't duck nothing, right?
Never.
I ain't run from hurricane when they come down here. So I ain't running from nobody. If Michael B wants this for real, contact Roy Jones Jr. and we will make it happen.
Yeah, see?
You got my number, he can contact you and get my number. So there's no question about how can I find, no, you know how to find Roy. Call TMZ, get Roy's number from TMZ, let's make it happen.
Roy, now he said in the video he's probably killed me back in his prime.
True. That's true.
How about now, though? Do you actually give him any chance to beat you now, even though you are 49, Roy?
I know he can't beat me still because, I know he's probably in better condition because he's younger, and though he can probably think he can go longer and probably thinks he may be able to even outwork me now. But I'm a vet. I'm an old school vet. Old school vet ain't going out like that.
That's
to have the heart to come in the ring with me, I love it. You understand me?
All right, we got it. We got it. Look,
that's
Roy
right.
Jones Jr. is trying to make that money. I get it. You said it right now. Millions. Millions.
Yeah, millions of dollars. I'll take fucking Michael B. Jordan, Sage Northcutt, Logan Paul, Paige Van Zandt, fucking throw them all in there.
Paige Van
Roy Jones Jr. Yeah. Throw Paige in. Throw Big Tits in. And then and we'll do Roy Jones at the end.
Why not?
Line them all up. Line them up. I'll knock them all down.
Yeah. Hey,
Man,
dude.
he get these hands. Yeah, God bless.
Still
You know,
on the
Michael B. Jordan just go on.
You still want to clear $200,000 after all that.
Exactly. Can't sell a pay-per-view to save my goddamn fucking life. You know, we had a threesome with Sage and Paige, and still no one fucking bought it.
Shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, look, dude, good. Maybe they'll make that happen. I have no problem with it. It is, I don't know why they haven't done this yet. Why haven't they done a celebrity MMA? Like, they used to do celebrity boxing. I think that'd be a huge category. If they said, we're going to train celebrities or, like, you know, whatever it is, B-list, C-list, whatever, to go and fight at MMA, people would just go and fucking watch that. I really think they would. I think we've proven it with CM Punk, with the Logan Paul KSI shit. I just think that a fight is interesting, and then when you take people that people already know and care about, and then they put them in a fight, I think it's that much more intriguing.
Yeah, I do hear what you're saying, but you got to remember there's a few things. One, it's dangerous. You can get hurt. Okay, that is the reality of the situation. Secondly, to get any kind of proficiency, to be any good at it, takes time. It takes a long time. You can't just go, oh, all right, I'm going to do a celebrity MMA fight, and then you just look stupid and terrible. Nobody wants to watch that. And as I say, you can get hurt, you can get bust up, you can get cut, you can get scars. So anybody that's relevant that is having a successful career right now, they're not going to want to do that. So what are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with washed up bomb celebrities that nobody wants to watch anyway. What would you rather watch? Some celebrity from fucking 20 years ago that's trying to get a paycheck, or world-class mixed martial artists fighting right now, guys that have done a 2-month training camp that have been training their entire lives? I know which one I'd rather watch, Liz.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I'm just saying it's surprising to me that sort of hasn't turned and we haven't seen that happen. Because we the celebrity boxing thing was happening for a while. But you're right, there is more elements to it. I think people... the commitment that it takes, after 1 or 2 days of training, you're going to realize the type of commitment that it would take to actually, if you're going to take it seriously. And nobody wants to go through that.
I'll tell you right now, here's one little thing that stops people doing it. And maybe you've experienced this. And if anybody's listening that's got kids, like an older kid, like a teenager that's having a bit of shit at school, here's what I used to tell Callum all the time, okay? If he's getting shit at school, right, you can't go around punching people in the face these days. Unfortunately, you can't. It's just not acceptable, right? You get arrested, you get lawsuits. It's called assault. You can't do it. Certainly at school, okay? But if someone's giving you shit, do you know what you can do that you could probably get away with? Give him a fucking leg kick. Kick him in the thigh really hard, okay? It hurts like a bitch. And
Michael Bisping said it best.
Boom. There's no mark. There's no proof, okay? Unless it's like a kick from Mirko Krokop, there isn't really going to be a mark. But they won't say shit. So when Callum used to get like shit off this one kid, I said, Callum, just kick him in the leg. Just give him a fucking leg kick, and he won't say shit ever again. Yeah. My point is, if they're flirting with the idea of doing an MMA fight, and they go in and do a bit of fucking Thai boxing with the makeup on and trying to act all cool, and then they get kicked in the leg, they're going to go, fuck this, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Going through that experience, you have to be a crazy person to want to make that your life. To this day, I can't, like, my shoulder still hurts. I can't get out of bed the right way because of my stupid little fucking amateur MMA fight. So putting your body through that where you are training against the highest level athletes, I mean, people don't realize that, like, you're training in a gym, like, you're not going against some fucking dude who doesn't know how to fight. When you're training, you're sparring, you're going up against other killers. For the most part, it's just other guys who really know what the fuck they're doing. So what you're putting your body through on a daily basis, you have to have some sort of, you know, there's something in you that, there's a thrill there. You know, when people jump out of airplanes, certain people, most people go, that's fucking crazy. I would never do that. And the people that do it, they just go, yeah, dude, I can't explain to you why that thrill is there, but it is incredible to me. But it is definitely a really humbling, crazy experience. So you're right. I think that most people in the world, 99% of the people, do not want to put themselves through what it takes in order to get themselves ready for it.
Oh, absolutely, and rightly so, because, you do have to be cut from a certain type of cloth. I mean, of course, everybody knows I had my eye injuries, but the injuries to my body, bloody hell, I mean, how long have you got? The list is ridiculous. My neck is totally jacked. My right lat, you can take a needle right now and stick it right through the skin, and I don't feel a thing. You can pinch me as hard as you want, stick a lighter to it, burn me. Totally numb, totally dead, don't feel a goddamn thing. Often the entire right side of my body, I kind of like get paralyzed and I kind of freeze like this, and people think I'm having a heart attack. It's happened. I was filming this show Hyperdrive, which debuts on Netflix next year. Check it out, it's going to be sick. And I was on there and I started doing this, and they're like, oh my God, medic. I'm like, no, it's fine. It happens all the time. It'll pass in a minute. And I look fucking retarded, I do. And it happened at the Fox Studios. That's just one of many. My wrists, my knees, my elbows. I've got a torn meniscus in my good knee. Not my good knee. I mean, my bad knee's fucked, but now I've got a torn meniscus in my good knee. Step into my office. Why? Because it fucking hurts. Okay? So, don't do it. Do something else. Go to school. Get a career. Get a job. Don't get punched in the face for a living, because it motherfucking hurts.
Yes, it does. And it's a weird, MMA in particular is kind of a weird thing, right? Because a lot of these guys, like, wrestling is sort of from my perspective anyway, I grew up in New York. The kids who wrestled, they weren't poor. I'm not saying that they were well-to-do, but it was sort of at the minimum, a blue-collar sort of sport. Like, just the kids who were in the they were always kids who kind of came from nice families, nice households. It's a collegiate sport. The guys who excel at it go to college. They sort of have like a career. It is a very weird thing, because it's almost like they don't need it the same way that I feel like when you watch like young boxers that grow up in the hood who like came from nothing, and it's like all they knew was like, their fucking dad would bring them to the boxing club and spend a little bit of money they'd had on that. It's just a different thing. Like, to excel at wrestling, every kid that I knew that wrestled growing up, literally every kid that I knew that wrestled, came from a somewhat, at the very least, a together household. My perspective, I grew up very poor, so I guess even my perspective on what together is a little bit different. Like, I see kids that owned a trailer, like in a trailer park, and I'm like, dude, they own a fucking house. That's crazy.
Jesus Christ, these guys are loaded, man. Fucking hell. He has 3 meals a day. Fucking, there's always lights on in that trailer. Always lights on. He's got hot water. Motherfucker's got 2 pairs of shoes. Jesus Christ, he's loaded. Incidentally, I never had 2 pairs of shoes. Most of my shoes had fucking holes in when I was a kid. I disagree, but that said, I haven't lived in America for very long, and we didn't have wrestling in England. So I can't speak about it with too much experience. All I can speak about is from what I've seen through Callum's wrestling career, and there were certainly kids on his wrestling team. There's one kid in particular that I'm thinking of, I won't say his name, that, came from a very, basically the opposite of what you just described, from very, very poor background and whatnot. And I tried to help him out. So I don't know if I agree with that, but it's funny that you mentioned wrestling, because MMA is very tough, and it's very tough on the body, and the injuries are ridiculous. And I would say one of the closest sports to replicating the toughness is definitely wrestling. What I see Callum and the wrestling team go through, it's unbelievable. And it's given me a massive new respect for anybody that has a proper wrestling career. The mental toughness, the physical toughness that you have to endure to be successful in that sport is incredible. It really is. Callum, for example, I told you, he posted, he got taken down, he put his arm out, he landed on his hand, tore off the tricep off his bone, took a piece of the bone with it, and he competed in about 3 more tournaments like that. Had a big 5-hour surgery, and now he's back in there trying to, trying to get ready for this upcoming season.
How's the recovery doing?
He's doing really well. He's actually he's wrestling right now as we speak. He's not doing live wrestling. He's doing just drilling. But that's, he probably shouldn't be doing that, but he's doing it, and he's doing okay. And we did some very light weights in the gym, and he's just trying to activate the muscles in the arm, because you've got to remember the arm wasn't used for 2-3 months, and a lot of muscle size, and you just look tiny. So
They should
slowly
have-
activating the muscles.
They should have something in place for when that happens to kids, because it is. I have a friend, my buddy John Hickey's little brother, his brother James Hickey. I remember this happened when he was in like the 9th or the 10th grade. This kid was going to be like a football stud. And he might have ended up still being. I don't know. I don't really know what the end of the story was, but I remember he ended up having a really bad injury. Like his the bone came through the skin. What do they call that again?
Ooh, a fucking nightmare.
What is it?
Compound fracture.
Compound fracture, right? So his leg snapped in half, bone, through the fucking skin, which apparently compound fractures aren't as bad. There's worse injuries you can have. Like the Anderson Silva, I guess that's what happened with him. He had a compound fracture when he broke his leg against Chris Weidman. But apparently it looks worse than it really is. Like the recovery time isn't as bad. But this kid essentially had to take off 2 years from football. And it was everything that he had sort of been building his whole life with. Like since middle school, he had been playing football, and it's sort of everything to you. They come and recruit these kids when they're in the 5th grade to be on this team, and then they get injured in high school for nothing. They're playing for this fucking thing. There's no reason except for maybe to go to college one day, maybe to become a pro. But if you get injured in the 9th grade, or in Calum's case, 11th grade, he gets injured senior year, it's just over. Like if he doesn't recover, it's just over.
Yeah, but Lewis, I hate to break it to you, but it's a cruel fucking world that we live in. And these are the pros and the cons, the risk and the reward. And you get injured. And not everybody gets a medal. And I know in this common world, everybody likes to be rewarded, and everyone gets a pat on the back, and everyone gets a participation certificate and this and that. Bollocks. That's the risk and reward. You dedicate yourself to a sport. If you get injured, you dust yourself off, you climb back on the horse, and you try and build your way back up to the top. And if you get injured and it takes you out of it, the sport can't do anything for you. The school can't do anything for you. You can't live your life like that. You've got to say.
I think that they should have some sort of insurance program in place for a kid who gives their fucking now.
What financially? So we'll have an insurance place where this guy hurts himself. So okay, what we'll do is you automatically get on any other sporting team, or you get a gold medal at the
pay for his college. Games. I don't know. Look, look.
No.
If, let's say Callum.
No. Stop. Because then you'll have everybody on purposely getting injured.
No.
Getting injured on purpose.
No, nobody's gonna do that.
I'm gonna get a free ride at college. Hey, bro. If I could tell you some of the stories that I've fucking done, yes, they would. Okay.
Tell me, please.
Okay. Me, you, and the rest of the fucking world.
Shit. No,
I'll tell you another time.
I'm not. I believe me, I'm not the type of guy that thinks anybody deserves a hand. I just think that a lot of these kids, it's everything to them. And unless Callum wasn't able to come back from this injury, and he was expecting to get a scholarship and to go to school and to have that opportunity, to have that taken away from you, essentially because you're playing football for a fucking high school. You are what these kids are doing to their bodies for the entertainment of it's a bizarre thing. I watch high school football and I'm like, dude, they're throwing their bodies into each other for what? What is the result here? For the enjoyment of these people and the pride of the school. The school makes money, by the way, off these things. My high school had a huge football program. They made a shit ton they sold tickets for $20 a pop to the football games. They were selling hot dogs and sodas in the stands. They would make a killing. And the kids would have to pay to be on the fucking team. They'd have to do fundraisers. They'd have to do all this other shit.
Yeah, no, you're right. When you talk about football, certainly college football is a massive industry, and they don't pay the athletes anything. They get 60,000 people plus TV rights, all the rest of it. That is a little bit different, and if you do get injured doing that, then maybe. And incidentally, football is a very dangerous sport, and if I ever see someone get seriously injured or paralyzed, and God forbid, you do hear about it on the news occasionally, a teenager passes away due to a head injury in football. So that's really sad, and it's really terrible. And if somebody can do something for somebody like that, the school or the organization, the college, whatever it is, then obviously I'm all for that. But generally in sports, if you get injured and it's not life-threatening, it's just career-threatening, then unfortunately it's about having that mental fortitude to find something else, to dust yourself off in life and move on to your next challenge. That's what it's all about. You can't have somebody there to pick up the pieces for you, Lewis. You never did when you were a child. Unfortunately, you had difficult circumstances growing up. Who was there to give you? Well, unfortunately, Lewis's dad passed away, so let's give him a free ride his entire life. That's not life, and you can't teach that. And I know in this modern society, human beings are getting softer and weaker mentally, and all that does, what you're suggesting, is perpetuating that. Sports are difficult. To be good is difficult. That's why in the UFC, the best fighters get paid the most. The cream rises to the top. And if you're not good enough, you don't get paid. And if you get injured and you can't compete, unfortunately, the game's up.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now numbers. It's 8 deaths per year in high school and college football. I think only 5 recorded deaths in the history of mixed martial arts. And I believe almost all of those cases were unsanctioned events. A few of them were overseas. I know there was a couple that were on the United States, but they were always smaller shows that didn't have the proper doctors on hand or the proper, pre-medical examinations.
And I'm not sure what the actual number is, but in boxing, I think it's something like 12 to 14 deaths
10 a
per
year.
year as well. Just 10 a year. I mean, it's so sad. It really is, and I'm not belittling anything like that. But as I say, listen, I'm not excusing anybody passing away or injuring themselves. Certainly not children playing football. That's different. I think when you're playing, if you choose to undertake combat sports as an adult, everything should be done to avoid that. Everything should be done to avoid that. But 8 deaths per year at high school, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
Well,
and something needs to be changed. There shouldn't
play
be 8
devil's
fucking
advocate?
children dying at school.
Can I play devil's advocate? 40 to 50 deaths per year being struck by lightning. So you're more likely to die being struck by lightning than playing high school or college football. It's all about perspective.
I'm no mathematician, but that's 5 times as likely to be struck by fucking lightning.
And we use that as the metric for what's unlikely to happen. So I got to be honest with you.
So they'll say, hey, are you sure you want to play football? It's very dangerous. Listen, motherfucker, I'm mathematically 5 times more likely to get struck by lightning, okay? So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And when you put it like that, it sounds like it's not dangerous.
We're being pussies. We're being bitches about football.
Man the fuck up, okay? Man the fuck up. No, but seriously, on the news recently, somebody did die at a high school, and it is no laughing matter. It is no laughing matter. Lewis, stop laughing. You're going to go to hell, okay? Shit.
Fuck. You can't tell me it's no laughing matter in the middle of me hysterically laughing.
5 times more likely to be struck by lightning. You're just an unlucky son of a bitch.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Get your football game up. What do you want me to say here, dude?
Quit being a little fucking bitch. Maybe strengthen your neck. We should not be joking about this.
Jesus Christ, strengthen your neck. Fuck.
Fucking do some sit-ups or something.
All right. Look, we have a little more time here. We have some questions on Twitter as well, but I wanted to just get your response about this because Dana White, I guess he's been sparring with Tito Ortiz about this fight this past weekend. Harrington, pull up Dana White's quote about the Tito Ortiz Chuck Liddell fight, which, I guess Chuck Liddell, he says he might fight again. Still, he's saying he might fight again, which nobody wants that. But what is the quote? Do you have it?
It's a couple things I have from Dana here. I heard last week that the cokehead Oscar De La Weirdo is talking shit that I don't have any place to tell guys when to retire. First of all, it's called a friendship, you fucking cokehead. I've been friends with Chuck Liddell for 20 years, and the reality is that Chuck Liddell retired when he should have retired 8 or 9 years ago, whenever it was. Then he went on to say Tito and Oscar De La Dummy were made for each other. Those two fucking nutheads. First of all, Tito said, you guys want to get paid? Come over to Golden Boy MMA. Are you kidding me? Hey, you wait, my brother. You wait and see how all this pans out. Everybody's going to be suing everybody in a couple of months. There was no money made over there. De La Hoya is a moron, an absolute moron, and I don't know how Chuck allowed himself to get talked into this shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's coming from a good place from Dana. You know, it is. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, he's got some personal issues with Oscar De La Hoya there, and you know, That's between them. I don't know what's going on. He cares for Chuck Liddell. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they went to the UFC first with that fight, and he wanted no part of it. He did. Listen, Dana was he was very honorable about all of that. He even allowed them to announce the fight at the UFC Hall of Fame induction ceremony last year, to get them extra press to try and, encourage them to make as much money as possible, and now, he was proved correct. I mean, Chuck, we spoke about it last time, you got to give the guy respect, but he didn't look good. And he potentially, who knows? Who knows, that might haunt him. And now he's not even saying that he's retired. There's even potentially he might fight again. So obviously Dana is pissed off at that. And as a friend, as somebody that cares about somebody, I understand that. Now, Tito Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken, he came back on Instagram with something, correct?
Yeah, what was Tito's response, Harrington? Yeah, you can pull it up on the screen while we read it.
Tito said, excuse me, Dana White, I appreciate everything you've done for me in the sport. In my humble opinion, I don't feel Chuck and I were compensated correctly for all that we gave and sacrificed for the company. When you sold the company for over $4.5 billion, how much of that did Chuck and I get? Nothing. I'm trying to build something new and rewarding for the sport. This is not about you. This is not about me. I want it to be about the fighters and giving them the opportunity to share in all the rewards this business has to offer, to where they don't have to fight when they are 43 and 48 at Golden Boy Boxing at UFC.
Well, it's all getting a little petty, isn't it? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to get into a case of he said, she said, he's right, she's wrong. At the end of the day, listen, Tito's trying to make some money with Golden Boy. That's what's going on here. So he's showing his allegiance to Oscar De La Hoya. He wants to have another fight promoted. He wants to potentially get into partnering with him and make some money. And God bless him for that. You can't blame him. Everybody's out there trying to hustle and trying to make money. Of course, Dana has been throwing a bit of shade, and I feel it's coming from a good place for Dana. And Tito is countering with his own point of view. I got to say, some of the paychecks on the undercard weren't very good. Like $1,000. I think even on, because I did see the Instagram. Yeah. I did see, I was looking at that post, from Tito earlier, and I had to look through the comments, and somebody that actually fought on the undercard on the comment section said, "What are you talking about? I made $1,500 fighting on Saturday night." Yeah. So,
who's this?
I don't know.
I have Craig Wilkerson as making $1,500 on the card.
Yeah, Freddie Garcia. Yeah. So look, here's the truth. Okay, we've seen this happen before. I remember Affliction when they created their promotion. They were paying Tim Sylvia $3 million a fight. Where the fuck is Affliction now? Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Where are they now? People like to trash the UFC, but what they've done, I've said this many times, this is me being very consistent here, okay? Because I have no allegiance to fucking anybody but myself and my kid, right?
I'll tell you where Affliction are. They're still selling those same fucking jackets with the flames and the dragons and
I don't
shit.
even think they're selling those jackets anymore. Nobody's buying them.
No, they are. You go to the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas, which I know you've been to, and there's an Affliction store, and it's like going back to 2003. It's the exact same shit. And I was there recently. Hey, I was sponsored by Affliction, so much love. I'm not trying to trash on them, but it's like you would think they would maybe get with the times a little bit, with the skulls and the dragons and the flames and the fucking Daenerys Targaryens all over the leather jackets. You know what I mean? I'm not into it. Styles have moved on. But anyway, sorry, you were saying.
But they want to, and it's very easy to say, hey, you got to pay what these guys are worth. The UFC have created an industry where thousands of people are eating off of this. And it's not, I think we watched it, so, boxers make so much more. Well, there's no brand. The WBC, the WBO, there's no brand there. They haven't created anything with longevity. And there's, the reason I believe that boxing is in the position that it's in is specifically because of that. Now, Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, yes, they made a third of the pay-per-view dollars, but let's step back for a second. They were co-promoters. The promoters are still taking the lion's share. All the other fighters in the card are still making bullshit compared to what the promoters are making. You've stepped up
Yep.
into the role of promoter. You're not even talking about it as being a fighter because you're paid $250,000 a show. You're paid comparable what you would have been paid in the UFC. But the promoter is just sort of a different formula. And that formula, which is not reinvesting into the business, which is not reinvesting into a brand, a marketing department, a graphic designs department. I mean, dude, the UFC is such a robust company. I don't know how many employees it has, but it has to have hundreds of employees at least. They've created an industry, and you have to step back sometimes as a business owner. I look at what we do here at Gas Digital. I go, do you have any idea what goes on in the back end, behind the doors, that people have no understanding? It's so easy to go, dude, why don't you get a better microphone? There's a million little fucking factors that go into every little thing, and it's very easy to sit from your couch and kind of go, oh, well, this is the way you should do it. The UFC have created nothing but opportunity for a lot of people, myself included. I make money on this show because of the work that the UFC and Dana White have put in to creating a brand. And if they didn't do what they did, nobody else would have done it. Everyone else still tries to emulate it, and nobody else has done it as good. And everyone still fails in comparison to what the UFC does. And I'm not kissing their ass. I will never get a paycheck from the UFC. I promise you. I've said too much fucked up shit on microphones. I'm never getting a paycheck from them. It just is what it is.
I totally agree. And to be honest, you said a slogan, a phrase, whatever, you put two words together earlier, and you hit the nail on the head. You said the words boxing model. Okay. And that's the way it is. In the boxing model, it's top heavy. Now, of course, in the UFC, the main events, they take the lion's share of the money that goes out to the fighters, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, in the main event gets more than everybody else. Generally, not always, actually, not always. If there's somebody big on the co-main event, or even, an Alistair Overeem, he makes like $800,000-900,000 a fight. Sometimes you might have somebody in the main event that gets paid less than that. But the boxing model is very different. The world champions, the guys selling the pay-per-view in boxing, yes, they make tremendous amounts of money. But generally, everybody else on the undercard, they're making the type of sums that we just spoke about, $1,000, $500, sometimes $200. I think on the Mayweather-Pacquiao card, there were some people on there for like $500 or $1,000, which is crazy. But that's the way boxing is. And I think I spoke about this once before, and this isn't me defending the UFC or kissing Dana's ass, but it's me understanding and accepting of the situation. When I was trying to negotiate more money from Dana White for the George St. Pierre fight, which I felt I should have got more money. Of course I do, and I was negotiating with Dana trying to get more. And I said, well, hold on a minute. My word, what's his name? I forgot the boxer's name. It's pissing me off. I said, this guy here, man, it'll come to me in a second. I said, he got paid $5 million guaranteed. And his fight was on HBO, and it got, I think it was 150,000 buys. I said, but he got $5 million guaranteed. We're talking about this maybe doing 1 million pay-per-view buys, so I need more money guaranteed. And he said, but Mike, that's the boxing model. It's not the UFC model. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you've earned a very good amount of money your entire career. And he's right, I have. I've been paid very well from the get-go from the UFC. Even when I was on my Ultimate Fighter contract, where I was making 12 and 12, afterwards Dana would, pass me a check for $200,000. He always took care of myself, and I wasn't the only person getting that kind of treatment. And he said, if you want to go back to the boxing model, Mike, you only just became a world champion. This is your second title defense. If we were on the boxing model right now, you wouldn't have made shit. Okay, you wouldn't be living in a nice house. You wouldn't have money saved. You wouldn't have some businesses. You wouldn't have investments. Okay, you'd be on the boxing model where you'd still be a struggling boxer, struggling to make ends meet. But in the UFC model, the way we do things, you've been compensated well. So, and he kind of had me there because it was a fair point. Now, do I stand by the fact that I thought I deserved, and rightly so, thought I deserved more money? Yes, of course. But he did have me there, and it was a fair and valid point.
And the value. There's also this value of being a UFC fighter, being a UFC veteran. It holds a lot of value. That brand that they have built, the UFC has built over the years, it's the Coca-Cola of mixed martial arts. Being a UFC veteran means you can walk into other promotions, ask for a higher rate. You can get jobs training people. You can open up a gym. There's so much value in just fighting for the UFC, just being a veteran of the UFC. And we don't really see that anywhere else. You could have 3 losses in the UFC, get cut, and go UFC veteran, and there's value. There's brand value there. And that's something that I've always sort of respected with the UFC, is that they were the people who are leading the dance. It's a dance, and it's always the fighter and the promoter, right? And I've said this about Conor many a times. If Conor had come up through Bellator and never come into the UFC, nobody would be talking about Conor McGregor today, period.
Yep, you're right. I agree. I mean, what you're talking about there, though, a moment ago about, having brand worth when you go to other organizations. Yeah, that's true, but it's not really the point of the discussion. The point of the discussion is, revenue split fairly between fighters and the organization. But you're right, and that is changing. People like Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar, people like that. It's slowly been pushed up. I mean, we never heard of people getting $3 million plus pay-per-view. Years ago. It's going up all the time. The sport's getting bigger. It's becoming more and more mainstream. And you can make a very, very good, happy living in the UFC. I've made something of myself that I never thought possible. When I was younger, of course, I was ambitious, but, I came from, a humble background, left school at 16. I never thought I'd be sitting here in fucking California, comfortable. I'm not a rich man, far from it, but I guess everything's what's the word I'm looking for? Subjective. I'm anybody that lives in a house is a rich man compared to a homeless person, so everything's subjective. But but I'm comfortable, and that's through fighting for the UFC and now working for the UFC. So I'm a loyal man. I'm a loyal man, and I recognize where my bread's been buttered over the years. That sounded gay. Shall we move on? What else are we going to say? Should we do some questions?
Yeah, let's get some questions. We'll wrap this one up. This has been a great show. I'll take a moment really quick just to say, guys, first of all, you love the show. Go to iTunes right now, subscribe, leave us a 5-star ranking, a positive review, tell some friends about the show. Our YouTube channel is popping, nearly 25,000 subscribers now. Go subscribe on YouTube. The latest 15 episodes are available both on iTunes and on YouTube at any given time. If you love the show and you want to catch up on every episode we've ever done, we have nearly 100 episodes available right now on demand, full HD video, ad-free, uncensored, on-demand, whenever you want them. GasDigitalNetwork.com is the website. Use the promo code BYM. Get a 14-day free trial. See if you enjoy the premium service. We have 22 shows on the network, including Legion of Skanks, which I host, and the Real S podcast, plus some other incredible shows. So go check it out. Use that promo code BYM. Try it out for free. Get all the episodes that you guys have missed. And, yeah, if you want to join the conversation, we got to get a new email address, I guess, for the questions, right? What's the email address that we have?
Well, it
was. Do we have a Gmail one? Can you create one for next week?
Yeah, I have it. It's the same one they sent the bitch application to, bympod@gmail.com.
Okay, from now on, if you want to ask questions, email them to us at bympod@gmail.com. Forget the other
video questions if you have them, because it's a little more high tech, and it's the year 2018, and that's how we like to do it. And I want to see you. I want to see your face. I want to hear the emotion, the tone of how you ask the question. I don't want Lewis to read it to me. I don't want Harrington to read it to me. No offense, Harrington. I want to see you. I want to interact with you. So send in your questions, bympod@gmail.com. I haven't been hit in the head that many times. First time I heard that email address, and I remembered it. But without further ado, do I have to listen to you? Sorry.
One more. I just want to say I am filming my special. But, Mike, if you can come out to New York, I would love you to come and fucking hang out the night of the special. We're going to party like animals. December 9th.
Not my thing, Lewis. Not my thing.
Partying like an animal?
9th. Let me look at my diary. Let me look. December 9th. Oh, I might just be able to fit you in. Or what am I doing December 8th? I think I just... Oh, no, that's no. Oh, December 8th. I'm going out with the next door neighbors. Or I could go to New York and party like an animal with Lewis.
Sounds like a better plan.
Yeah, no, it does.
But if you guys want to come to the filming of my special, I've been working very hard on this. I've been touring all over the country for it. December 9th, it is in New York City. We sold out in like 12 hours of all the tickets for both shows, but there is a standby list. If you guys want to get on standby for the filming of the special at the Cutting Room, it's LJG presents LJG@gmail.com. I'm going to be in Portland this Thursday and Friday. Then on the 2nd of December, I'll be in San Francisco. And then the 5th, I'll be at the Belly Room running my hour one final time. You guys can get tickets for all of those events at Louis J. Gomez presents LouisJGomez.com.
Finished? Done?
That's it. I had to plug some things.
What do you mean that's it? Fucking half an hour's worth.
That's great.
But you're right. The YouTube page isn't popping off. It's on 24,000. So, guys, we need to tell your fucking friends, tell your buddies, subscribe, watch the video, see Lewis roll his eyes at me, see Harrington in all his glory, see Shannon on occasion. Tell your friends, subscribe.
Shannon's a hottie too.
Me podcast. Exactly.
If she's not here, it's not sexual harassment, right? Like we're just talking about her behind her back.
No, for sure. Exactly. You know, how can that be deemed as sexual harassment when she's not experiencing it?
If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to see you touch it while it's passed out, is it really sexual?
If a bear shits in the wood, but you pick it up and smell it, does it still shit in the wood? What? All right, let's hear these questions.
All right, here we go, guys. On Twitter today, did you have any video questions too or no? No video. All right, no video questions. Phil Martinez at Philip2212 wants to know, how do you feel about Stylebender fighting Anderson age-wise? Last weekend's fight with Tito and Chuck, the whole concern was about age. Is this any different in your opinion?
Interesting question. Yeah, we did talk about this the last episode. Funnily enough, I heard Israel Adesanya on the radio the other day, Sirius XM fucking Fight Network or whatever it's called these days. Shout out Marissa Rivas. But there was an interview with him on. Is she right there?
Tell her to come in and say hi.
Get Marissa in here.
Get her in to say hi. I'd love to say hi.
In fact, no, she's dead to me. She's dead.
Fuck her. Fuck Sirius XM. Oh, she's gone.
Yeah. Kiss my ass. No. He was on there and he gave a very entertaining interview as usual. Israel is an entertaining guy, and he was talking about the fight with Anderson and how, you know, he looks up to him and he doesn't want to kill his hero, but of course that's what he's going to try and do. But I don't know if it's that simple. You know, Anderson is still very capable, and Israel said as much. He said, listen, you've got to know the guy's still crafty. He can still turn it on, but he seems to feel that he knows Anderson better than he knows himself because he studied him so much. Now, listen, either way, on paper, you got to lean towards Israel Adesanya. The question was, how do I feel about Anderson Silva? Well, Anderson Silva's 43, if I'm not mistaken. Tito Ortiz was 43, and there was a big difference between Tito Ortiz's condition and Chuck Liddell's condition. That's why Tito Ortiz won by knockout inside the first round. Not saying that's the only reason. Of course, he trains with a great coach, and he had a fantastic training camp. Obviously, that helped as well. But, you know, having less wear and tear on the clock, that helped. Now, there's a big age difference between Israel and Anderson Silva, but it is Anderson Silva we're talking about. And I think that's kind of the mystique of this fight. You know, how is Anderson Silva going to come back? You know, I think when I fought Anderson Silva, he was fast, he was sharp, he was on the money. Now, people are going to say, of course you're going to say that, Michael. And you're right, of course I'm going to say that. But I can also be subjective and a realist. When I watch that fight back, and maybe it's because I talked so much shit and I really got him up for it, but he came to that fight to win. He came aggressive. He came with everything he had. He was sharp. He was fast. His reflexes were on fire. And he didn't seem old or past it at all. Now, in his next fight against Derek Brunson, he didn't show up. He didn't show up at all. We'll see what happens with Israel Adesanya. I think Anderson knows his back is up against the wall. For him to have any kind of career after this fight, he has to win this fight. He has to look good. Of course, he had the whole thing with the steroids as well. So Anderson has a lot to prove right now. So I wouldn't be running out there and putting the money on Israel Adesanya just yet.
Yeah,
you know, of course.
Well, you also said he didn't show up for the Derek Brunson fight, but he won that fight. Let's not forget that he actually won the Derek Brunson fight. Now, look, Israel Adesanya just killed Derek Brunson. And also, I'm watching. Go, just type in Israel Adesanya 2018 highlights on YouTube. Holy fuck, dude! His kicks are crazy. His kicks are as fast as most people jab in mixed martial arts. They're really fast.
I like Israel Adesanya, but I'll tell you something right now. There's one person, if you ask me, who would want to fight right now, it'd be Israel. Because I know, when I look at him, listen, he's good, he's great, but I'm sorry. I'm not buying it.
Not impressed.
No, I'm not saying I'm not impressed. I'm on the hype train. He's good. He's beating people. You know, he's beating the Marvin Vittorias of the world. He had a good win against Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson looked like shit. He was terrified. But, you know, I think I would have an easy time with him. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Okay. What's his name? KSI, Logan Paul, Sage Northcutt, Michael B. Jordan, and Israel Adesanya all in one night on YouTube.
I mean, look, the other thing about Israel Adesanya, you're right about this. Like, has he really been tested yet? This is the test. This is the big test for him right now. And Anderson Silva, for as much as shit as we want to talk, I mean, he is... Who's Israel fought? Brad Tavares, Marvin Vettori.
So there's two sides to it. Sorry to cut you off, though, Lewis.
It's okay.
I want to get this point in. So you're right. You say he hasn't been tested, and when he fought, I can't remember. Rob Wilkinson, I think, was his first fight, and I was like, "Who the fuck's Rob Wilkinson?" And and he won by stoppage. It was like, well, yeah, let's not get too excited. Rob Wilkinson, no disrespect, he's not a world beater. Then he fought Marvin Vettori and went to a decision, and it was like, okay, but Marvin Vettori once again, even though he clearly won the fight. Then he beat Brad Tavares, who I thought would give him a harder time. But then I was like, well, maybe Brad Tavares wasn't that good after all. And it's
Didn't Brad Tavares call you out?
Yeah, he did, yeah. But it's not Israel's fault. And then he fought Derek Brunson, and I thought Derek Brunson was going to give him a hard time. And he made easy work of him, but Derek Brunson looked like shit, So now he's fighting Anderson Silva, and if he goes out there and he beats him, people will say, and it's not fair to Israel, people will say, yeah, but he beat a 43-year-old Anderson Silva. You know what I'm saying? So it is a tricky one, and it's kind of a lose-lose, because if he beats him, he'll get that. And if he loses, he got beat up a 43-year-old Anderson Silva. Fact of the matter is, and I'll let you talk in just a second, he deserves the hype. He's very excited. He looks good. He fights with an exciting style. He's entertaining on the microphone, inside the cage, outside the cage. I'm on the hype train. I think he's great. I'm only saying I wanted to fight him from a competitive standpoint. Lewis, say your point.
I mean, when you look at Anderson Silva, and I'm looking at his record right now, he is 1-4 with 1-4-0 and one no contest against Nick Diaz, which he did win that fight. Yeah, I mean, I guess here's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with that it's a lose-lose for Israel, because Anderson is sort of the next progression. This is it. It sort of makes sense. They're actually bringing Israel along slower than I thought they would, because when Dana White, he came out and recently branded him the next Conor or the next big star, which I think they have to throw those things out every once in a while. Dana White has to sort of throw out that thing, because if he hits that stride, then boom, Dana White called it, and that's that. It's the perfect formula. If he loses this fight, which he very well could, I'm not counting on Anderson Silva at all. I think Anderson Silva, any given Sunday, could beat anybody. It's just it's a style thing. I said the same thing about Francis Ngannou earlier on tonight. It's like, dude, he can knock you out. What do you want me to say here? Anderson Silva is a fucking martial artist on another level, and he can knock you the fuck out. So if Anderson Silva shows up and does what he does, and he doesn't fuck around, and I don't think Israel Adesanya is the type of guy that he's going to underestimate or fuck around with, try to pull any of that bullshit, the rope-a-dope shit that we've seen him do in other fights. I don't think he's going to do it. And if he does, it'd be stupid, because he's going to get knocked the fuck out if he does that. But Anderson Silva, I think he probably loses this fight. I think he probably loses a decision, though. And I think he's going to be way more competitive than people think. And I think Israel coming out of this on the other side isn't going to look as invincible as people are making him out to be. But it's only because Anderson's that good.
Yeah, no, for sure, and he still is that good. And Israel said as much. He said he will not be underestimating him. He'll be giving him the respect due, but also going at him with the mentality of a fighter and not giving him too much respect. He's not going to underestimate him. He's not going to overestimate him, which is the perfect approach. He said, listen, at the end of the day, he's still the Spider. He's still who he is. He's still great. He's still the guy that front kicked Vitor Belfort's head off. So yeah, that's that. Listen, we've been going for about 2 hours now. Should we call that one an episode and go about our lives?
I'm in a zone right now. I would do another hour, but if you want to wrap up, you don't want to give the fans more, I'm okay with that. It's not a big deal.
Well, it's been 2 hours, and I have 3 children out there, and they're all looking at me like, they're like, Dad, would you rather talk to Lewis or your friends on the internet, or would you come and read me a bedtime story? And the fact of the matter is, go read yourself a fucking bedtime story, you pussy.
Callum's 17. He could probably read his own bedtime story.
I know. I'm like, Callum, come on. What's going on? Save the next question for the next show. And this has been a great one.
Next week we'll be in person. We'll figure it out in LA. We'll get together. Maybe we can get another one in before then. Who knows what'll happen? We'll figure it out. But thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys in Portland, San Francisco, or Los Angeles. But this has been another great show. Thanks for listening. Go subscribe, do all that shit, and we'll check you next week.